Hey, let's jump off and address something. I went to a birthday party the other day, and they said, hey, so Robin said Trump's coming back on August 20. Did you say that?
No, I didn't. No. What? They must be getting that from. I saw a big thing. Somebody took a prophetic word that I had given and made a meme out of it and put their own things on it and said that I said he was coming back on the 20th. What I actually said was, I said there's something happening in August. I said I'm not sure if everything's turning in August or if it's a setup for something to happen around November, but something big is happening in August. And that's what I said.
Okay.
And so, if I said it, I'd tell you.
Well, I know you would, and I said, show it to me. So they pulled it up, and there was this great big. It was a video. It was like it was ready to play, as if it was a YouTube. And I said to the person, I said, well, this was posted by, and it had the name of the person, and she said, no, this is by Robin. I said, no, look who posted it. It wasn't Robin. It was such and such. So I said, did you watch the video? And he actually said it. And she said, no, I actually haven't finished it. She just assumed that the title over the top was accurate.
It won't be in the video they're watching, I'm sure.
I thought it'd be great because that's my birthday. So I thought, if he comes back
awesome,
on my birthday, I'll take it.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, it would be. So
yeah, that's good.
So
my birthday's in August too.
Oh, it is? Okay. By the way, speaking of that, when I was a kid, we would always figure out we were never into astrology ever.
Yeah,
we thought that was wrong. We didn't look at horoscopes. I probably looked at one horoscope in my entire life, and we used to say, "Oh, I'm a Leo," or "I'm this," or "I'm that," because all we thought was the benign thing. We were not taught that was part of astrology. So when I think it was Amanda Grace was on, and her birthday's in August, and I said, "Oh, so you're a Leo too," and I meant nothing by it. But a few people wrote and said, you're not supposed to be into astrology. So I'm not into astrology.
No, me either. And somebody, I like what somebody said one time. If somebody asked me, what star were you born under? I say all of them. I was born under all of them.
There you go.
Every one of them.
Well, I even wonder what the origin of that, where they said Leo, Capricorn, all these different things. I even wonder if that was initially astrology, or did someone come up and make figures? I don't even honestly know the answer to that.
Well, most of that is this. When you look at what people call astrology now see, the actual symbols in the heavens, where the Bible says the heavens declare his glory,
right,
and so forth. The actual symbols in the heavens actually tell the story of man, the coming of the Messiah, everything. It tells everything, even to him bruising the serpent's head with his heel. Everything was made for God and by God. Men perverted these things, but even to the place of the twins in astrology is actually Jesus and his church.
Really?
It's all the whole story. And when Abraham was told to come and look at the stars, this is what he was looking at. And they knew these constellations, and they knew how they were, and a lot of the standards of Israel, the Lion of Judah and so forth, that is those symbols.
Oh, it is? Okay, that's where it comes from.
It was all for God and by God, but then it was perverted and changed, and the occult uses. See, what the occult wants to do is use the power and the system of the cycles of the earth in order to, but they use them without God so that they become their own God. And when you start to look at it, it's for example, it's like this, when the book of Revelation talks about, it says there was a sign appeared in the heavens, a woman about to give birth, and the dragon was at her feet. She had 12 stars on her head, and she was clothed in the sun.
Wow.
Well, that actually came to pass in 2017, where the constellation Virgo, the Virgin, appeared, and the planet, I think it was the planet Pluto, now I don't have any notes in front of me, moved into her stomach. 9 months earlier.
Really?
When it moved into her stomach, it started exiting her stomach 9 months later, while the dragon, Draco, the constellation, was at her feet. Looked like it was ready to devour the child as it came out. And the 12 stars were aligned perfectly over that constellation's head. And there were 2 planets added with it, and it made up 12 stars in a crown, and it appeared over Jerusalem at a certain time. Yeah, in 17, I believe it was, and the sun was at her back, and it just robed that whole constellation. And so the whole thing was talked about in the book of Revelation.
Well, what was happening in the natural, in history, in current history when that happened?
Yeah, when that took place, the Bible said he gave the sun, the moon, and the stars for signs and signals and moeds. These moeds coincide with the feast of Israel. And the moeds are appointed times of God that he meets with men at appointed times. And the sun, the moon, and the stars are given as signals and signs in the heavens that something is up. And what that actually meant at that moment was revival would begin. And it would begin with that was the child that was being birthed at the moment in 2017.
Wow.
And 1,260 days after that, the Bible mentions, and I'd even had the date on it because I'd given a prophetic word about it, that the revival would begin. And now we're like so many months past that 1,260 days. And so revival has started in the earth, exactly like it was said.
So the constellations that, the only one I know is that I was supposedly a Leo. That's a constellation.
Yeah, that's actually.
Go ahead.
I think Leo was actually was taken from the standard of the tribe of Judah, and so
really?
forth. Yeah, but it's been perverted. That's God made the stars for signals and signs, and the moon and the sun. For instance, like the sun would represent Jesus, but the moon has no light of its own. It reflects the sun's light. So the moon actually to us would represent the church, reflecting the sun's light and so forth like that. So when you see signs in the moon, it affects the church. And you see signs in the sun, it affects the nations. And so on and so forth it goes.
Well, it's interesting because, you talk about 2017 and revival, and we have come into a time that I almost shake my head because I do shake my head because we now donate to a really major ministry. I think it's called One for Israel. We give to it almost monthly, but they are Jewish believers who will confront even the rabbis. They bring them on the show. It's a popular show. They speak about Jesus the Christ, and I'm going, this was never possible in my lifetime until right about now.
That's right.
When they're openly confessing Jesus Christ, and they're being allowed to do it on the air on Jewish TV. Yeah,
because times are about to collide, and the Jewish rabbis, every sign to them is a sign of the imminent return of the Messiah, the coming of the Messiah. And this is what's on everybody's spiritual mind, is the coming of the Messiah, what marks time, how it's happening, what's going on. There was a young Jewish boy, I think his name was Nathan, and he was a secular Jewish young man. He didn't go to synagogue. He didn't do anything like that, and his family was secular. But he died, and when he came back, he began to talk about being in heaven. He was talking to an angel in heaven, and they were taking him around and so forth. And he came back and started talking about things that got all the rabbis' attention. They absolutely couldn't get over it, the names he was calling and what he was talking about. And they knew he didn't go to synagogue. They knew he knew none of this. And he said there's coming a war. And he talked about this war. And he said it's going to be bad against all the nations against us, Israel. And he said we were able to hold them off for 2 days. And then after that, they just overran us and killed us like we were nothing. And he just started talking about this war. And he said, the rabbi asked him, said, do you know who's leading the war? He said, it's somebody named Gog, somebody they called Gog. And the rabbi said, Gog? Because he knew in the scripture where that was. And he said, did you see who Gog was? Did you see who he is? Nathan said, yes, I know exactly who Gog is. He said, well, who is he? He said, he's Obama.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. And
I thought you were going to say Russia. People talk about Gog being Russia and all that.
Yeah, and then he told the rabbi, he said, he'll be killed and he'll be buried in Israel. Well, a lot of people don't even know that's in the Bible, but it is. And so they knew he was seeing things. And then he talked about, from a Jewish perspective and a Hebrew perspective, about heaven and all, and it was beautiful. It was just absolutely amazing. He wasn't but about 11 years old.
Really? Only 11?
Yeah,
and you say
like
he died and then he came back, but you didn't give any details. Was he gone for a minute or two or what?
Yeah, he was gone for, I don't know. Let's see, I'm trying to remember now. Maybe it was 20 minutes, 25. I don't know how long it was. Okay. I mean, for me to say is just trying to remember without my notes. But anyway.